NASCAR Championship Weekend is upon us. Here's everything you need to know before cars and trucks hit the track this weekend. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Super excited. Tomorrow I'll be hopping on a plane heading out to Phoenix Raceway for a NASCAR Championship Weekend. But today on Out of the Groove, I want to give y'all a preview of this weekend's events. Who are the championship contenders? What are the major storylines for all three races? We will discuss that here today. But first, this episode is sponsored by my friends at Lionel Racing, the official diecast of NASCAR. And I'm here to introduce an all-new product from Lionel Racing, their NASCAR Authentics collection. The demand for NASCAR Authentics led Walmart to work closely with Lionel Racing to bring you this exclusive item. This special 4-pack of liquid color diecast is only available online at walmart.com. That link is down in the description below, and as you can see, this pack features 4 of Lionel's best-selling NASCAR Authentics drivers and paint schemes. Be sure to check this out. Again, available only online at walmart.com. That link is down in the description. These look super sharp. Thank you to Lionel for sponsoring this episode. The trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Series will all race at Phoenix this weekend. 3 champions will be crowned. Let's start by looking at the weekend schedule, specifically when each race will begin, when green flag is. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series will race Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. The NASCAR Xfinity Series race will begin Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC Sports Network. And then the NASCAR Cup Series season finale will begin Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on main NBC. All 3 of these races will also be broadcast on MRN, so plenty of ways to watch or listen to each race this weekend. Now, there'll also be a full slate of practice and qualifying for all 3 series. Each series will have 1 practice session and 1 qualifying session before their race begins. On-track activity begins Friday, so a busy weekend of action. If you're planning to be at Phoenix Raceway this weekend, the only race that is sold out currently is the Cup race on Sunday. I believe there are still some tickets remaining for the Xfinity and Truck Series races earlier in the weekend. So if you're going to be at the track all weekend, be sure to check out practice and qualifying. As we talked about earlier this week in a video, this may be the last time we see a traditional practice session in NASCAR ever again. But enough talking about practice. We're here to crown champions. Let's begin with the Truck Series, the Truck Series Championship 4. Matt Crafton, the veteran of the group, 45 years old. He's been there, done that. He's a 3-time Camping World Truck Series champion, most recently in 2019 when he won that title without winning a race all season long. He's in a similar situation here in 2021. He has not won a race this year either, and his average finish is actually almost 3 positions worse than it was back in 2019. But somehow, someway, Matt Crafton is once again in the Championship 4, driving for ThorSport. They're racing Toyotas now. That's a difference. Can the wily veteran get it done once again? Well, he'll be doing some babysitting Friday night because our next championship contender is less than half as old as Matt Crafton. 22-year-old Zane Smith for GMS Racing. He only has 1 win this season, but it came in crunch time. His only win this season came at Martinsville just a few days ago to lock himself into this race. He went into that event in a deep points hole, needing to win. He got it done. Can he ride that wave of momentum to his first ever Truck Series championship? He might be a long shot. He's got the worst average finish of these Championship 4 drivers. And I was shocked to see this, but Zane Smith only has 2 top 5s all season long. And he's in the Championship 4. Goodness, he's gotta be the long shot. He'll go up against Ben Rhodes, 24-year-old driver, also for ThorSport, teammates with Matt Crafton. Ben Rhodes has had an interesting season. He actually has the best average finish, 9.6, of all 4 Truck Series championship contenders. He hasn't DNF'd at all this season, but his only 2 wins this year came all the way back at the very beginning of the season. He won the first 2 races of the year at Daytona and then at the Daytona Road Course, and then he has not won a race since then. So we're talking about February was the last time Ben Rhodes found victory lane, but he's been consistent. So will consistency win out at Phoenix? Typically, the champion needs to also win the race. Ben Rhodes hasn't done that in a while, but it's absolutely possible. To do it though, he'll have to go through John Hunter Nemechek, probably the championship favorite at this point. 24 years old, driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports, 5 wins this season to lead all Truck Series drivers. But, and this surprised me, all of those wins came in the first half of the season. He has not won a Truck Series race since Pocono in June. Nemechek, you'll remember, raced full-time in the Cup Series last year for Front Row, but he decided he'd rather chase a championship in trucks than run 25th on a weekly basis in Cup. So that's how he landed with Kyle Busch Motorsports. We already know he'll be back with KBM next season, but he's chasing that championship this Friday at Phoenix. He's probably the favorite at this point, but as we've seen even recently, these Truck Series races can get a bit rowdy. Well, good thing John Hunter Nemechek drives for KBM, I guess. The Truck Series Championship is Friday night. The Xfinity Series will crown their champion Saturday night. Let's meet those 4 contenders. 23-year-old Noah Gragson has 3 wins this season, and unlike John Hunter Nemechek in trucks, who won them all at the beginning of the season, Noah Gragson's getting hot at the right time. All 3 of his wins have come in the second half of this season. He was plagued by DNFs early in the year, but he's coming on strong when it matters most. He's a Las Vegas guy. He knows how to celebrate. Noah Gragson is the bad boy of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Just in the last year and a half alone, he's quite literally thrown punches at Daniel Hendrick, Harrison Burton. He hasn't made a lot of friends out there, but he impressed everyone with his clean racing at the end of last week's Martinsville race, which he won, so he's riding some. Without a doubt, Noah Gragson will put on a show this Saturday night. Daniel Hendrick is also in the championship for, can you believe it, the 3rd time in his Xfinity career. He is 30 years old and he has never won a NASCAR race in trucks, Xfinity, or Cup, the one full-time season he raced there. Consistency is key, and while he hasn't won any races, he's been strong lately, finishing in the top 5 in 5 of the last 6 races coming into this weekend. So is he also peaking at the right time? He and Noah Gragson got into a literal fist fight on pit road earlier this year, and last weekend at Martinsville, it was Gragson who basically outplayed Hendrick on the final restart. So the 2 of them, if they find themselves at the front of the field late in this race contending for a championship, all bets are off. But they'll have some stiff competition. AJ Allmendinger, 39 years old, the veteran for Call League Racing. He's in the championship for. What more can we say about AJ Allmendinger? 5 wins this season, tied for the most in the series. Everyone thinks of AJ Allmendinger as a road course specialist. You know, his 2 Cup Series wins both come at road courses, but this year he has 3 wins on ovals. So he's been good pretty much everywhere. Call League Racing, one of the most likable teams in the NASCAR garage across any series, so AJ Allmendinger is going to be a popular pick this weekend, I think. But it's hard to say he's the definitive favorite when he's going up against Austin Cindric, the defending Xfinity Series champion. 23 years old, he also has 5 wins this season to match Allmendinger, but he's been on a little bit of a losing streak. He has not won since the Indy Road Course back in August, been almost 3 months, but he's done just about everything else. In fact, in his last 4 races, 2nd, 5th, 2nd, 2nd. In fact, he has not finished worse than 8th in these playoffs. We already know Austin Cindric will head to the Cup Series next year, replacing past champion Brad Keselowski at Team Penske. If he manages to win back-to-back Xfinity titles, the hype next year will be through the roof. Let me know down in the comments who your Xfinity Series championship pick is. Let's move on to the main event. Sunday afternoon, the NASCAR Cup Series. There has been no shortage of hostility in these playoffs between contenders, between Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott early in the playoffs. Last week, Denny Hamlin and Alex Bowman getting into it. Bowman, of course, no longer racing for a championship. Lots of hurt feelings in these playoffs. Well, it all comes to a head this Sunday at Phoenix. Let's meet the championship 4. Let's begin with no one else than the defending series champion, Chase Elliott. At just 25 years old, Chase Elliott's looking to become the youngest driver in NASCAR history to win multiple Cup Series championships. And if you believe in destiny or fate or coincidence, Chase Elliott's from Georgia, and his Atlanta Braves just won a World Series. Chase Elliott was at a couple of those World Series games, actually. Might send some good vibes his way. We'll look at the stats in just a moment, but next up is Denny Hamlin. Only Denny Hamlin can get spun out for the win at a track in his home state, and he's the one who gets booed.
It's just Chase Elliott fans, man. They're just, they don't think straightly.
Lots of animosity's been thrown Denny Hamlin's way the last few days, and he's soaking a lot of it in. 46 career wins for Denny Hamlin, but no Cup Series championship. We ask this nearly every year, but is this finally it? Is this the time? Is this the season he finally gets it done? I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He might have won the regular season championship if not for, getting dumped by Chase Briscoe at the Indy Road Course. And it feels like this year more than ever, Denny Hamlin's become more outspoken about, all things within the NASCAR industry. Part of that probably having to do with him now being a team owner of 23XI. In many ways, Hamlin appears at least to be more serious this season. Well, if he's going to win his first Cup Series championship, he'll have to go through his teammate Martin Truex Jr., who is a past champion, won the title back in 2017. In an age of youth and aggressive driving, Martin Truex Jr. is one of the few holdovers, if you will, who continues to uphold the Mark Martin style of respectful driving. At 41 years old, he's the oldest of the championship 4 contenders, but if he's going to get it done this weekend, he'll have to go through the favorite, the guy who's been the favorite all season long, Kyle Larson. In his first year driving for Hendrick Motorsports, of course he was suspended most all of last season, he's back and better than ever. His off-track actions speak for themselves, but his on-track actions are what have turned the most heads. He is quite possibly the most talented all-around race car driver in North America, in the Western Hemisphere. It's arguable, but I don't think that's hyperbole. He is a legend, a living legend in the dirt sprint car world. He finally gets a ride in a top-tier Cup Series car, and now we understand all that hype back in 2013, 2014, what that hype was about. This guy has put the entire racing world on notice. He's 29 years old, not a young, youthful newcomer by any means, but he has enough time left in his career that this could be the start of a immensely successful Kyle Larson era. Lots of great storylines going into Sunday's race. A lot of talk about the NASCAR playoff format, but I'll say this year at least, the format got it right. In my opinion, and according to many of the most basic statistics, these are the 4 best drivers and teams all season long. In fact, these 4 drivers were the 4 drivers with the most laps led all season long. Chase Elliott has been there, done that. Last year, he won at Martinsville, and then he went on and won this race at Phoenix to lock up his first ever Cup championship. This year, he led more than half the laps at Martinsville, got spun out late. Now he heads to Phoenix looking to go back to back. Remember last year, in the middle of last season, Chevrolet combined their Hendrick and ECR engine departments and began working on one universal Chevy engine, and ever since that engine debuted, Chevrolet has been the best manufacturer in the Cup Series. I think that's helped Kyle Larson out quite a bit at the bigger ovals this year, but I think it's also helped Chase Elliott, especially last season. Now, Chase Elliott has not won a race at an oval this season. He only has 2 wins, both road courses. So to win the championship this year, he'll be relying on his experience winning this race a year ago. For Denny Hamlin, consistency is key. He only has 2 wins this season, but with all the talk about Kyle Larson, you may be surprised to know that Denny Hamlin actually has the best average finish of any driver this year. And is Denny Hamlin peaking at the right time? Both of those wins this year came in these playoffs, Darlington and Las Vegas. Darlington, of course, is a 750 horsepower, low downforce oval, just like Phoenix. So that could point things in Denny Hamlin's favor, but unlike Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin has not shown the ability historically to perform in the highest pressure situations. Will Hamlin be distracted by the events this past week at Martinsville? Will he be distracted by Alex Bowman selling hack t-shirts or putting the word hack above the driver's side door? Reports say he's still trying to buy a charter next year for his 2311 racing team, so is there too much going on around Hamlin that he might lose focus this weekend? I don't know. Denny Hamlin has won twice at Phoenix in his career. I think he's ready for this big moment. His Joe Gibbs Racing teammate Martin Truex Jr. has applied a very specific strategy this season. Since the beginning of the year, Truex has been focused on winning the war. He and his crew chief James Small put a clear focus on the 750 horsepower low downforce oval tracks this season. All 4 of his wins this year have come at said tracks, including the spring race at Phoenix earlier this season. He may have the worst overall average finish of all the Championship 4 drivers, but he has by far the most wins this season at 750 horsepower ovals. Every single team knew at the very beginning of this season that the championship would go through Martinsville and Phoenix. So Martin Truex Jr. and James Small put their emphasis on that style of racetrack. Will it pay off this weekend, or will Kyle Larson seal the deal? Larson's 9 wins this season are by far the most in the NASCAR Cup Series, but his dominance has been especially noticeable at the larger ovals. And that helped him out in the regular season. He edged Denny Hamlin for the regular season championship. He also led more laps this season than any other driver in NASCAR history in the 36 race schedule era, which is pretty freaking remarkable. But it all comes down to Phoenix, and I'm not sure that Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels are the best prepared team for this style of racetrack. In a lot of ways, I'm rooting for Kyle Larson. The tear he's been on in both the asphalt and the dirt world the last year and a half, I feel like winning the Cup Series championship this year would be the icing on the cake, the bow on the neatly wrapped Christmas present. This would be the start, perhaps, of the Kyle Larson era in NASCAR. And, while I know a lot of NASCAR fans act like they don't like dominance, Jimmy's 5 championships, that was boring. Ugh. I think Americans in general are drawn to success. They respect winning, and Kyle Larson is doing a lot of that these days, and it's skill. He's got a great car. Hendrick has great resources. Cliff Daniels knows what he's doing, but Kyle Larson has proved it time and time again, no matter what car he seems to get behind the wheel of, he's gonna get more out of it than anyone else is probably capable of doing. So you gotta respect the talent. You gotta respect the consistency. It'd be pretty cool to see Kyle Larson put the exclamation point at the end of this 1.5 year long statement. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Who's your pick to win the Cup Series championship this Sunday at Phoenix Raceway? I look forward to hearing your responses. I'll give you guys my pick a little later in the week. I gotta go pack so I don't miss my flight out to Phoenix, but thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes, and as always, a huge thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters. Couldn't do the show without their tremendous support each and every month. I greatly appreciate it all of this season. If you're out at Phoenix, keep an eye out for me. I'm the tall guy, probably in the Matt Kenseth t-shirt. Hard to miss, so I look forward to seeing you guys out there. Thanks for watching this episode, y'all. I'll see you in the next one.